Had I not taken 2 days holidays due to my ill health, I would have given a holiday today. Today is very auspicious day, but still we have a class, right? Yeah. Let us start the class. Explain about the following statement. Response dot set content type. We did two examples. In those two examples, inside the service method, we were writing this statement. Set content type. Okay. Set content type method is called on the response object to specify the MIME type, multi-purpose internet mail extensions, to specify the MIME type. Some MIME types are text by HTML, text by plain, image by GIF. Okay, etc. This is not servlet concept. So many are there. There are 250 plus MIME types are available. Application by MS Word, application by JSON, one student is suggest. Like, so this is browser. Browser sends a request to web server. Browser sends a request to web server. Communication protocol is HTTP. As per hypertext transfer protocol, web server should be sending the response to the browser. It is known as HTTP response. Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Okay. Web server's duty, sending the response to the browser. As per HTTP, web server not only should send the response to the browser, but also it indicates to the browser, hello browser, I am sending you MS Word document. Be ready, be prepared to display it. I am sending a plain text. Be ready to render to the user. I am sending an image. Be ready to display to the user. Not only sending the content, but the type of content I am sending to you, like that, web server indicates to the browser. It is not advanced Java concept to clarify doubt. Moral of the story, don't ask me question on this. Only listen and leave it. Self-explore. If you want to know more about MIME type, more about HTTP. Just it is there. Therefore, I am just mentioning. That's all. HTTP convention is, rule is, web server not only sending the response to the browser, what type of response it is sending also, it has to indicate using MIME type. So, MIME, multi-purpose internet mail extension, it is not advanced Java or servlet technology. Pure networking, hypertext transfer protocol concept. Web server not only sending the response, what type of response I am sending, so that be ready and display. That kind of indication web server gives to the browser by using which concept? MIME concept. Very good. Now, servlet. So now servlet. So servlet, last two examples, servlet was building the response page. After building the response page, it has to give to web server. Hello, web server. I know you have to indicate to the browser what kind of response you are sending to it. But this response I am preparing for you, na? Therefore, it is my duty to indicate to you what kind of response I am building for you, so that you will send it to the browser. So that's what. Inside the service method, okay. So in service method, we say response dot set content type text by HTML. Service method is calling set content type method on the response object by specifying the MIME type. Set content type method takes string as the argument. You cannot give whatever string you want. As per HTTP standards, there are some 250 plus MIME types are there. One of them you have to mention here. Servlet is indicating to the web server, hello web server, I am building a HTML page for you. Anyhow, you have to indicate to the browser, na? That indication I am giving to you. That's all. That is the significance of set content type method. Service method is calling set content type method on the response object, specifying the MIME type. It is a text file, HTML file. So that is what meaning is. Over. Next question. Explain about the following statement. Print writer is equal to response dot get writer. Response dot get writer. Actually, this much detail not required, but people are expecting from me because I am explaining that way. Right. Some idea definitely I will give you. But before I explain, 5 to 10 minutes of core Java I will explain, then I will come back to it. It is concept of IO streams. IO streams, input, output stream. Okay. Assume it is a Java program. Assume it is a Java program. This Java program wants to send a file outside. This Java program wants to receive a file. Okay. So, data transferring out of the Java program or into the Java program. There is a concept called stream concept. Stream. I am drawing like a pipe. Understanding sake, you feel that stream is a pipe. It is a pipe. Okay. Now I am explaining stream concept. Stream. What is a stream? Data transferring object. Data transferring object. From where to where? From Java program to outside. From outside into Java program. Depending upon the direction of flow of data, streams are two types. Input stream and output stream. Through input stream, data comes into the Java program. Through output stream, data goes out of the Java program. Now coming to servlet. Okay. So now what you have to understand is, this is the Java no, this is the browser. This is the browser. Request goes from browser to web server. Request will go from browser to web server. Client server architecture. JDBC time I told you. Whenever client connects to the server, okay, that client socket available with the server. This box is known as socket. It is HTTP socket. Client socket. You know what does this socket hold? Information about the client. From which IP address client request has come. From which port number the request has come to server. Generally people feel only server will have the port. No, client also will have the port. Browser is somewhere in the world connected to the web server. But web server should send the response to that client only in the world. Na? How does web server know? It should send the response to that machine only, that process only, using socket concept. Now tell me, whenever browser sends a request to the web server, what happens in the background is the browser's whereabouts, the IP address and the port number of the browser are wrapped into socket. Whose socket available to whom? Client socket available to web server. Finished. Now, request came from browser to servlet. Request, actually this much detail will unnecessarily confuse you, but okay, just roughly. Assume now request came for servlet sake. Sorry, web server cannot execute the servlet, no? But socket is available with web server. Now web server will switch the control to servlet container. So now tell me, request came for whom sake? Servlet sake. So can web server execute the servlet? No, no. Servlet container. Web server switched the control to servlet container. But while switching the control to servlet container, that HTTP socket is made available to servlet container. Tell me who got which information? Servlet container has got client socket. That's it. Now servlet container executes the servlet. Now servlet container executes the servlet. Tell me what is the life cycle of the servlet? Instantiation is over. Initialization is over. Now I am explaining about the servicing phase. Servlet container calls the service method. Sorry. Before calling the service method, servlet container creates request object, response object. Tell me, before calling the service method of the servlet, what does the servlet container do? It creates two objects, request object and response object. Response object is nothing but encapsulation of the client socket. That HTTP socket is wrapped into response object. Tell me, who got which object? Servlet has got socket object in the form of servlet response. Now, it is the service method. First parameter is request. Second parameter is response. Very good. Now tell me, in the service method, what am I writing? I am writing print writer. Okay, print writer is equal to response dot get writer. Service method is calling get writer method on the response object. Response object encapsulates the socket. Now tell me, what is print writer? It is an output stream. Okay. Java.io. Print writer is a character oriented output stream. So exactly when this line is executed, when service method is calling getWriter method on the response object, exactly what is happening in the background, one stream is created, one pipe is created between whom and whom? Between the servlet and the client socket. That's all. So this is the stream. Okay, this is the pipe. This is the stream. Print writer is a pipe between whom and whom? Between the Java program called servlet and the client socket. And the client socket, that's all. Now, what is happening is we are writing out.println, I mean print writer dot println, we are writing HTML. Please remember, println does not print anything anywhere. Service method is calling println method on the print writer object. It means servlet has written one string HTML into it. Tell me, what is a stream? Stream is a data transferring object. When you say printWriter dot println, you know what is happening? Servlet is writing that HTML code into stream object. What is a stream? Data transferring object, na? It will transfer the data to HTTP socket. So please remember, the other day we were doing this. Look at this. Yeah. Line number 11. Service method is calling getWriter method on the response object. Exactly what is created? Stream created. Incoming stream or outgoing stream? Outgoing stream. Stream is created between whom and whom? Between the servlet and the client socket. It's a pipe between client socket and the servlet. Line number 12. Service method is calling println method on the print writer object. Exactly what is happening? HTML is not printed. Println is not printing anything anywhere. This string written to the stream. This is written to the stream. All these things written to the stream. What is a stream? Data transferring object. Ultimately, these 5 lines of HTML code using print writer object, it is transferred to client socket. Finished. Once data transferring is over, close the stream. Finally, this HTML content written to the client socket. Who called the service method? Servlet container. After service method execution is over, control goes to servlet container. Who called the servlet container? Web server. Ultimately, control went to whom? Web server. By the time control comes to web server, already into the client socket, HTML content is written. That's what I am saying. Servlet hands over the response page to the web server. It is not a gift not to hand over, please take. Written into the client socket. Now web server, it is a HTTP server. It knows how to transport that content to the browser. This is the technicality. If you don't understand, leave it. But this is what I know. 99.999% of the times, this explanation nobody gives in advanced Java. They know, but they don't explain. Reason is unnecessarily confuse you. That's all. Exactly what is happening here? Web page is sent to the browser. That's all. Web page is sent to the browser. So that's all. With this, what is over? Uh, Inside the servlet, I did not explain two lines. 10th line and 11th line I was not explaining. Now that explanation is over. Okay. Using print writer, dynamic web content generated by the servlet is sent to the client via web server. Okay. Okay. So this is the story, please. Let us move on to another thing. Yesterday, in the doubt section, some of you are asking me, okay, so what they were asking, just let me show you. Um, So, web.xml, sir, how this, they were asking actually. Okay. Let me a bit explain. How come servlet container no request has come for edition servlet? How does it know? Tell me from the browser how the control will come. HTTP localhost 8081 edition application / add. User entered two numbers, clicked on the submit button. From the browser with this URL, request comes to web server. Now, request is not for static resource. Request is for dynamic resource. Then what does the web server do? It will hand over the control to the servlet container. Tell me, what is the duty of the servlet container now? Request resolution, resolving. There may be 100 servlets in the application. For this request, which servlet to execute? How does the servlet container know? You know, how does the servlet container know? In the URL, application name is there now. Immediately servlet container will open web.xml. So request came for which servlet? How does servlet container know? By looking into web.xml. So the moment by looking into this application name, that application's web.xml servlet container will open. Very good. / add. You know, now what does the servlet container do? Servlet container looks into servlet mapping section. In servlet mapping section, it will check. There may be 100 servlets, but no two servlets will have the same URL pattern. If 10 servlets are there, each servlet's URL pattern will be different, please. Oh. So, by picking this from the URL, servlet container will check in mapping section. Yes, it finds the / add. Assume it is not there. 404, some HTTP Error code will be displayed. Requested resource not found error will be displayed to the browser. So with that name, URL pattern, something is there. Now servlet container picks up the registration name here. Once incoming request URL name and 37th line name is matching, it will pick up the registration name. Now, by picking this registration name, servlet container will search in the registration section. Yes, with that name, one servlet is there. Now, corresponding to that name, it picks the class. So, this is the way servlet container comes to know for this request which servlet to execute. Now servlet container loads this class into memory, creates the object of the class, calls the init method, creates request and response objects, and calls the service method. Servlet container should know request came for which servlet. Application name and public URL name. These two things will inform to the servlet container how to find request has come for which servlet. Okay. So that is the story, please. With this, request resolution also I have explained. Okay. Uh, HTTP servlet I have to explain today. If it is a normal day, I would have continued the class. So, have to perform certain things. And some of you, some 20 people or 15 people missing today. So, therefore, I am stopping the class now. 10 minutes only I will allot for doubts because after that, okay, that's all. And those who want to listen to the doubts, you can listen. Otherwise, you can log out. Okay, that's all, please. Very less, only 2 questions today. Now I will unmute, please. Yeah, you can ask doubts.
Sir,
Yeah,
Naveen here. First
yeah,
of all, thank you, sir. Awesome explanation.
yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
can you show that picture? I have one question on that only. You, so in this, sir, the client socket is being on the service side getting created, right, sir?
Yeah, not only here,
Hmm,
any client server architecture,
hmm,
the moment client handshook with server,
hmm,
client's whereabouts means machines, client machine IP address
hmm, hmm,
plus client process port number.
hmm,
Socket is equal to mathematical equation. Socket is equal to port plus IP address.
hmm,
That client socket available with server.
hmm.
Continue the doubt.
So on that, it is started listening. Any pattern?
Exactly, exactly. No, no.
It's list.
Started listening, that is server socket will be there.
Hmm,
Listening at server socket,
hmm.
but client socket is available to the server software. Otherwise, a response cannot be sent to that machine to that process.
Okay, in that case, that is. So on the client side, what is it's just an HTTP socket it will create on the clients
Not
on the.
nothing is created at client side. The moment client connected to server,
Hmm,
from which machine in the world the request has come,
hmm,
from which port of the client process the request is originated,
hmm.
those details are wrapped and made available at the server. That is nothing but client socket available to the server.
Okay,
That's all.
okay. So it's all the data is encapsulated in that.
Exactly. Otherwise, think with common sense.
Hmm,
Somewhere in the world, request is originated.
hmm,
To the same machine, response should be sent. Magically cannot be sent. Na?
hmm, hmm, hmm,
The whereabouts of the client should be made known to the server. Then only it can respond. Na?
hmm, hmm.
Those details are wrapped into socket and that is available to the server.
Okay, sir. And the way we interpret this sentence of service,
Hmm.
uh, service is calling get writer on the response object.
Service method is, it is core Java, not advanced Java.
Yeah,
Okay.
service method is a core Java, but it is calling the get writer.
Service method is calling get writer method on the response object.
On the response object.
Always methods are called on the objects, not using objects.
On the objects. But the method name, because
Sir, you are
response.
not asking doubt. You are confirming how much you understood. I'm sorry, some
Yes,
others
sir. I
could
am
be waiting.
confirming my point
No,
that
sir,
is
I
it
cannot.
correct
In
understanding or
doubt
not?
session, confirmation not possible, please.
Okay, okay,
You
okay.
got your doubt clarified or not?
Yeah, the other one is clarified. The socket one, the client socket doubt was there.
Yeah.
So that was a doubt. And second request, sir, I have mentioned that some of the notes are not there. Today, don't do it, sir. But
Uh,
when you get time, please
yeah.
help us.
Monday I will do it. Remind
Okay,
me
sir.
if I forget. In
Okay,
front
sir.
of you, I will do it on Monday.
Okay, sir. Happy holiday, sir.
Thank you. Any other doubts, please? Yesterday, somebody was asking web.xml, sir, how it is working. Somebody was asking me.
Guy who was asking, sir, it was on the service side. The request was two data were coming in as a normal code Java. We learned that until unless
Uh,
the place the service request and response, the response how it is being processed without
uh,
thing inside it.
what?
So we have a service method
Uh,
implemented, right,
yeah.
in this. So the in this case, when we call the service method, until unless we
Not
get,
we call. When servlet container calls the service
yeah,
method.
so, sorry, the servlet container calls the service method. So
Hmm.
it has to send two parameters,
Yeah.
right? Request, servlet request and servlet response, in
Yeah.
which
In request object, servlet container encapsulates user input.
hmm,
In response object, it wraps the client socket.
oh,
It means client socket is made available to servlet through service methods second argument. That is response
okay.
like that.
And that's where the confusion was. Okay.
Still
Thank you.
confusion?
No, that's where the confusion was, because that in the core Java we learned, when we write the codes, right? It's uh, we call the from calling is calling to the
Hmm. Calling method, called method.
called method. Yes, sir.
In this example, service is calling method, getWriter is the called method. Hmm.
Hmm, hmm.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any more questions? That's all. Nobody is asking. I'm signing off.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Bye bye.